It was a cold, silent night on the edge of human space. The colony of Eden 9 slept quietly under a pale blue sky. Wind whispered between metal houses, and the stars above looked like frozen fires. In a small home near the edge of the settlement lived Elias Ward, a quiet man who worked at the colony's power station. He lived alone, never spoke much, and spent his nights reading old Earth books about kindness, faith, and home, words most people had forgotten. That night, when most lights were out, Elias heard something, a weak knock on his door. It was strange. No one visited this late. He stood up slowly, grabbed a light from the table, and opened the door. Outside stood 3 strangers. Their faces were thin, their skin pale, and their eyes, almost glowing. They wore torn silver-colored suits that shimmered under the starlight. Dust and frost covered their clothes as if they had walked through space itself. One of them, a tall figure, took a shaky step forward. His voice was soft, almost broken. "Please, food." Elias looked at them, not with fear but with concern. He didn't ask who they were. He didn't ask where they came from. He simply said, "Come in. Sit down. You look cold." The 3 strangers entered his small home. The heater hummed softly as Elias opened his small bread box, the last loaf he had for the week. He placed it on the table, cut it into pieces, and handed it to them. They ate slowly, silently. The only sound was the soft crack of bread and the hum of wind outside. Their eyes, bright and strange, met his. There was something powerful and ancient behind them, something not human. But Elias didn't look away. "Eat," he said quietly. "No one should be hungry." When they finished, one of them looked up at him. His eyes shimmered like stars. He whispered, "You will be remembered among stars." Elias smiled faintly. "That's a kind thing to say," he replied, thinking it was just a blessing, maybe some old alien phrase or tradition. The strangers stood up, bowed their heads slightly, and walked out into the night. Elias watched them disappear into the cold mist, their shapes fading between the silver dunes beyond his home. He went to bed soon after, feeling a strange calm inside him, like he had done something important, even if he didn't understand why. When morning came, something was different. The colony was awake early. People stood outside, pointing at the sky. Elias stepped out, squinting into the light. And there, high above his home, was a glowing mark. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a satellite. It was a symbol, a circle with 3 curved lines pulsing softly in gold. Everyone stared. Some thought it was a malfunction in the sky mirrors. Others thought it was a new government beacon. But no one could explain where it came from. Then someone shouted, "It's right above Ward's house." People turned to him with curious eyes. Elias looked up at the mark, the same golden glow that once shone in the stranger's eyes. His heart raced. He didn't know what it meant, but deep down he felt watched. That night the symbol still glowed. Every sensor, every radar, every telescope tried to scan it, and failed. The signal just vanished when machines tried to read it. For the next few days, strange things began happening. The air felt warmer. Machines around Elias's home worked more efficiently. Crops near his yard grew faster. The colony chief sent scientists to test the soil, but they found nothing unusual. Yet every night the golden symbol pulsed, like a heartbeat in the sky. And each time, Elias could swear he heard faint whispers in the wind, like voices carried from far, far away. People started to call him the man who fed the stars. At first it was a joke, something funny to tell at the local bar. But then, messages began to appear in the colony's communication towers. Strange static, faint words that no one could trace. Sometimes it sounded like hospitality, received. Other times, debt, remembered. Engineers deleted the recordings, saying it was interference from deep space. But Elias wasn't so sure. Every time the whispers came, he felt the same calm warmth he felt that night, when he gave them bread. One evening, as he looked up at the glowing symbol again, he whispered softly to himself, "Who were you?" The sky, silent and endless, gave no answer. But somewhere beyond the stars, something ancient had begun to move. Something that remembered his kindness. Something that did not forget. Days turned into weeks, and the golden mark above Elias Ward's home never faded. It glowed every night, pulsing softly, like a living heart in the sky. People in the colony started to get used to it. They called it the star sign. Children would point to it and make wishes. Farmers said their crops grew better under its light. But deep down, everyone felt uneasy. No human device could explain it. No scientist could even touch its signal. Still, Elias tried to live a normal life. He worked at the power station, fixed broken lights, and helped neighbors when he could. But wherever he went, people whispered behind his back. There goes the man who called the stars. Maybe he's cursed. Or maybe he's chosen. Elias ignored them. He didn't care what they said. He only remembered the faces of the strangers, pale, tired, but filled with strange peace. Their last words echoed in his mind again and again. You will be remembered among stars. He didn't understand what it meant. But soon he would. One evening, the colony's main comms tower started to buzz. At first, it sounded like static, sharp, broken, like a radio that couldn't find a channel. The technicians thought it was solar interference. But the sound didn't stop. It grew stronger, louder. And then, the noise became words. A deep, slow voice spoke through every radio, every screen, every speaker. It said, "Hospitality received. Debt recorded." Every screen flickered. Lights dimmed. The entire colony went silent. Children cried. People looked at the sky, trembling. And above them, the golden mark pulsed faster, glowing brighter than ever before. Elias stood outside his house, looking up at it. His heart beat hard in his chest. He whispered, "What are you trying to say?" For a moment, he thought he heard a reply, a whisper carried by the wind. But it was too soft to understand. The next day, scientists from the Central World, Earth Command, arrived. They came in silver ships, wearing heavy suits and carrying scanners. They surrounded the colony, building fences, setting up antennas and placing guards. Their leader, Commander Ria Solis, was strict and cold. She called Elias to her tent. She looked at him for a long time before speaking. "You were the first one to see them, yes?" Elias nodded. "3 of them. They were hungry. I gave them bread." Ria frowned. "And you didn't ask who they were? Where they came from?" Elias shook his head. "No. They looked lost. That was enough." The commander sighed and turned her tablet toward him. On it, a strange signal pattern moved, waves of gold and black. "This appeared after your guests left," she said. "It's not from any human transmitter. It's not even from this sector. It's broadcasting in a frequency older than our database can recognize." Elias stared at it quietly. "So what does it mean?" Ria's eyes narrowed. "We don't know. But whatever it is, it remembers you." That night, while the scientists worked, another message came through. This time it was clearer. The same deep voice echoed through the colony. Elias Ward. Kindness logged. Record confirmed. Awaiting return. People panicked. Some hid in their homes. Others prayed. Commander Ria ordered all systems shut down. No one was allowed to respond to the signal. But Elias couldn't stay silent. He walked to the edge of the colony, stood under the golden mark and whispered into the dark sky. "I don't understand you. But if you can hear me, what do you want from me?" The air grew cold. For a moment the wind stopped completely. Then, faintly, he heard something like a reply, not from the sky but from deep within his mind. "Not want, remember?" Elias gasped and stepped back. The light above him flashed once, then slowly dimmed. The next morning, the scientists reported something impossible. The symbol was now appearing on other colonies, even on worlds light years away. Each one was identical, a golden circle with 3 curved lines pulsing softly. And every time it appeared, the same message followed. Hospitality received. Debt recorded. The galaxy began to take notice. News networks called it the Ward signal. Some said it was a sign from God. Others believed it was the mark of alien watchers, beings far older than humans. But no one knew the truth. No one, except Elias. He could feel it. Deep inside he knew they were out there, the 3 strangers he had helped. They hadn't forgotten. They were waiting. That night, as he sat outside his small house, he looked at the sky again. The mark shone faintly, calm now, almost peaceful. He closed his eyes and whispered, "If you ever come back, I'll be here." A soft wind passed across his face. The stars flickered, almost like they were answering. But in the distance, beyond the mapped edge of space, 3 faint lights moved together, slow, deliberate, like ships returning home. White medium star hook ending. The galaxy thought the signal was harmless. But the truth was far more dangerous. The ones Elias helped were not human. And now, they were coming back. The Ward signal spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every colony, every ship, every human world had seen the same glowing mark, 3 golden lines in a circle pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. No one could explain it. No one could stop it. Scientists called it a cosmic echo. The Church of the Stars called it the Promise. But to Elias Ward it was something else entirely. It was a memory, a promise whispered by strangers he once fed in the cold night. He tried to live quietly, but there was no peace. Every day new ships arrived at his small colony. Reporters, priests, soldiers, all wanting to see the man who fed the stars. Some came with questions. Some came with fear. And others came with hate. One night, as Elias sat outside his home, Commander Rhea Solis returned. Her uniform was darker now, her eyes tired. "They're blaming you, Elias," she said softly. "People think you brought something here. Something dangerous." Elias looked up at the golden mark still shining above. "I didn't call them," he said quietly. "I only shared my bread." Rhea sighed. "Maybe. But whatever they are, they know your name. That makes you the link and the target." 2 nights later the sky changed. The golden mark, once calm and beautiful, began to twist. It shimmered like fire, then broke apart into 3 separate lights. Each light grew brighter, larger, moving closer. The alarm system screamed. Sirens echoed through the colony. People ran into shelters, shouting and praying. Above the horizon, 3 massive shapes appeared, silent, black and smooth as glass. They were ships, enormous, unlike anything humanity had ever built. No engines, no noise, no visible weapons. Just cold perfection. Commander Rhea ordered her soldiers to ready their weapons. Defensive mode. All ships locked targeting systems. But the scanners failed instantly. No readings. No life signs. Nothing. The ships hovered quietly over the colony, their shadows covering the ground like a storm. Elias stepped out of his home, his face calm. He looked up, and somehow he knew. "They've come back," he whispered. Rhea grabbed his arm. "Elias, get inside. It's not safe." But he shook his head. "They didn't come to hurt us. I can feel it." Before she could stop him, a beam of golden light descended from the largest ship, silent and slow. It wrapped around Elias like a warm wind. Rhea shouted, "No," and fired at the beam, but her bullets passed right through it like smoke. Elias's body lifted gently into the air. His eyes widened, not in fear but in peace. As he rose, a deep, calm voice filled the air, the same voice from the signal. "Do not fear. We come for the one who fed us." The colony froze. Every soldier stopped firing. The people stared up, speechless. Rhea dropped her weapon, whispering, "My God." Elias felt weightless as the light pulled him upward. He closed his eyes. The last thing he saw of his world was the crowd, hundreds of faces watching him rise toward the stars. Then everything turned white. When he opened his eyes again, he was standing on a smooth floor made of crystal light. The air shimmered like water. He could see the galaxy beneath his feet, spinning slowly, beautiful and endless. Before him stood 3 figures, glowing softly, the same strangers he had fed that night so long ago. Their faces were no longer pale and weak. Now they shone like living constellations. One of them spoke. Elias Ward. The one who offered kindness without asking. The one who gave without demand. Elias stared, unable to speak. You were human once?" The tallest one shook his head gently. "No. We are older than humans. We were wanderers, forgotten by time, rejected by our kind. You found us when no one else would look." Elias stepped closer. "And now you've returned. Why?" The being raised his hand, and the air filled with soft golden light. "Because kindness cannot die, Elias. It echoes. Across worlds. Across stars. It is remembered." Back on the colony, Rhea and her soldiers watched the ships silently hover in the sky. They tried to scan, to communicate, to do anything, but all systems failed. Then a new voice came through every radio, every speaker, every ship. "Humanity once feared the dark between stars. But one of you lit it with kindness. We will remember." The ships began to fade, slowly becoming transparent, then vanishing completely. Only the golden mark remained in the sky, brighter than before. And Elias Ward was gone. For hours no one spoke. The colony stood in silence, staring at the empty sky. Commander Rhea whispered, "He fed them, and they came for him." No one could argue. No one could explain. All they knew was that Elias Ward, the quiet worker who gave bread to strangers, was now somewhere among the stars. Elias Ward opened his eyes. He was no longer on his colony. He stood in a place that looked like the heart of the universe, endless light, soft air, and floating shapes that shone like stars. The ground was made of silver glass, but it moved like water under his feet. He could see galaxies turning slowly below, like sparks in a great fire. Before him stood the 3 beings, the same ones he had once fed long ago. But now they were beautiful beyond words. Their bodies were made of pure starlight, their voices like music, their eyes like small suns. One of them stepped forward and spoke softly. "Do not be afraid, Elias Ward. You stand in the heart of our kingdom, the place between stars." Elias tried to speak, but his voice trembled. "Who are you really?" The tallest one looked at him. "We are called the Ellerin, the Keepers of Light. Once we traveled across galaxies, giving life where there was none. But pride destroyed us. We forgot the meaning of kindness, until you reminded us." Elias frowned. "Me? I only shared my bread. That's all." The Ellerin's light flickered gently, almost like a smile. "For you it was small. For us it was everything." They led Elias through halls made of crystal and fire. Everywhere he looked, stars floated in giant orbs, planets spinning inside them. He saw creatures made of light working quietly, shaping energy into form, creating life, weaving matter, writing history in light. He whispered, "Is this heaven?" One of them answered, "It is what humans once called that. But for us it is duty, the duty to remember kindness and return it." They brought him to a great hall. It stretched across the sky, filled with glowing shapes sitting in circles, thousands of them. Each one looked at Elias as he entered. A deep, calm voice spoke from the center. "Elias Ward, you acted with no reason but mercy. For that, we owe you more than thanks. We owe your kind a gift." Elias bowed his head. "I don't need anything. I didn't help for reward." The hall grew silent. Then the voice replied, "That is why you are worthy." Suddenly the room darkened. In the center of the hall appeared a great sphere, golden and bright, like a miniature sun. It floated down toward Elias until it hovered just above his hands. "This," said the voice, "is the seed of the first light, the same energy that made the stars. Wherever it is placed, life will bloom. It will feed, heal, and protect. It is yours to take back to your world." Elias looked at the glowing sphere, its warmth soft on his skin. He whispered, "Why give this to me? Why not to all of humanity?" The Ellerin leader lowered his head. "Because not all will understand. Kindness cannot be forced. It must be chosen as you chose that night." Elias nodded slowly. He understood. The beings surrounded him. Their light grew stronger, filling the air with color. "Elias Ward," they said together, "you reminded us that mercy still lives among humans. You will return to them, and your world will remember forever what kindness can do." Before Elias could speak, light wrapped around him once more. He felt his body falling, drifting through clouds of fire and stars. He closed his eyes as the light grew brighter. Then silence. Elias woke up lying on soft grass. The air was warm. The sky was blue. He was home. Around him, the colony stood silent, people frozen in shock. He looked up and gasped. Above the colony floated the golden sphere the Ellerin had given him. It shone like a second sun, but gentle, its light soft and peaceful. As it hovered, the machines around the colony began to hum with new life. The dead soil turned green. The broken crops stood tall again. The power lines glowed with endless energy. Commander Rhea ran to him, eyes wide. "Elias, you're alive. What happened to you? What is that thing?" Elias smiled faintly. "A gift," he said. "Something born from kindness." Rhea stared at the glowing sphere. "It's giving power to the entire colony, without fuel, without cost." Elias looked up at it, his face calm. "They said it's a seed, one that grows wherever kindness is planted." For many days people celebrated. The colony had light, warmth, and food like never before. No one went hungry again. And every night, the golden sphere still floated in the sky, shining softly over them all. Elias never took credit. He just went back to work, fixing machines, talking to people, sharing what little he had. When children asked him where he went, he simply said, "Far away. To meet some old friends." But sometimes, when the night was quiet, he would look at the golden sphere and whisper, "I hope you're still out there." And far beyond the stars, in the heart of the star kingdom, the Ellerin whispered back, "We are." The golden sphere floated above the colony like a second sun. Its light never faded, not even at night. Every plant, every tree, every home received warmth and energy from it. No one in Eden 9 went hungry again. Machines ran without fuel. Water stayed clean. Children played under the golden glow, calling it the light of Elias. But Elias Ward never called it his. When people came to thank him, he only smiled and said, "I just shared my bread. The rest wasn't mine to give." Still, across the galaxy, his name began to spread. News networks told stories of the man who fed strangers and was blessed by the stars. Pilgrims traveled from distant colonies to see the glowing sphere. Some came to pray. Others came to study it. And some came for something darker, power. One morning, a fleet of ships arrived from the capital world. They carried soldiers, scientists, and politicians. At the front was Governor Halden, a proud man with cold eyes. He stepped out of his ship and stared at the golden light in the sky. "It's beautiful," he said softly, "and it belongs to the Empire now." Elias frowned. "It doesn't belong to anyone, sir. It's a gift, for everyone." Halden smiled thinly. "Gifts from the stars don't exist. Someone must control it. We'll study it, learn how it works, and use it to power our fleets." Rhea Solis, now head of security, stood between them. "With respect, Governor, that's not what Elias wants." The Ellerin trusted him. "The Ellerin?" Halden interrupted. "Ghost stories. My scientists say it's a machine, not magic. And machines can be controlled." He turned to his men. "Prepare extraction units. Bring it down." When the soldiers fired energy tethers at the sphere, the sky went white. A sound like thunder rolled across the valley. The light pulsed, once, twice, and then everything stopped. The soldiers froze in place, their weapons glowing red. Halden shouted, "What's happening? Cut the power." But it was too late. The golden sphere flashed, and all the soldiers vanished. Only their metal boots and weapons remained, lying silent in the dust. The crowd screamed. Halden stumbled back, his face pale. Elias looked up at the light, eyes full of sadness. "I warned you," he said softly. "You can't take what was freely given." The sphere dimmed slowly until it glowed softly again, calm, peaceful, almost like it was alive. That night, Rhea came to Elias's small house. She sat quietly beside him, both staring at the glowing sky. "Do you think they're gone?" she asked. Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, but not destroyed. The light, it doesn't kill. It sends them away. Maybe to learn." "Learn what?" He looked at her and smiled faintly. "That greed blinds even the brightest worlds." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the gentle hum of the power lines, the sound of a living, breathing colony. Days passed. The golden sphere kept shining. People began to rebuild what the soldiers had damaged. Children left flowers outside Elias's home. Pilgrims came with gifts, food, tools, messages of hope. Elias accepted none of them. He just said, "Be kind to each other. That's enough." But deep in space, not everyone saw it that way. Across the stars, governments and corporations argued over the power of the light of Elias. They wanted to copy it, control it, weaponize it. And so, secret missions were launched, small ships sent to steal even a fragment of the light. None returned. Every time they approached the glowing sphere, their ships vanished, just like the soldiers. Their last recorded words were always the same. "It's looking at us." One night, as Elias stood outside, he saw something strange. The golden light flickered for the first time since it appeared. He looked up, heart pounding. A voice echoed faintly inside his mind, calm, familiar. "Elias Ward, your world is safe. But others have forgotten. The gift must spread." He whispered, "How?" "Show them. Let them remember what you did that night." Elias closed his eyes. He understood. The light pulsed brighter, sending a beam into the sky, shooting far beyond the colony into the blackness of space. That beam reached other human worlds, and where it touched, new seeds appeared. Tiny golden orbs began to hover over different planets, giving light and life. But unlike Eden 9, not every world welcomed it. Some fired on it. Some tried to hide it. And some worshipped it. The age of the light had begun. Elias watched the stars flicker in the night sky, knowing his simple act had changed everything. He whispered softly, "They said kindness echoes. Now I see what they meant." Rhea looked up beside him. "Do you think they'll come back?" Elias smiled. "Maybe. When we're ready." Above them, the golden sphere pulsed once, like a heartbeat of the universe. Years passed. The light of Elias spread far across the galaxy. Everywhere it touched, famine ended. War stopped. Worlds healed. But it also drew attention. Not all of it good. From deep in the unknown sectors came dark ships, silent, cold, moving like shadows through the void. They belonged to the Vorkin, a species that fed not on food but on life energy. To them the golden light was not hope, it was a feast. They came without warning. One by one human colonies went dark. Their skies turned black. And the last signal every colony sent before vanishing was the same. The light is fading. On Eden 9, Elias Ward stood under the glowing sky. He was older now, his hair silver, his eyes tired but kind. He knew this day would come. Rhea Solis, still strong and loyal, ran to him from the command post. Elias, it's the Vorkin. They're attacking the outer worlds. They're consuming the light itself. Elias nodded quietly. Then it's time. Time for what? He looked at the golden sphere floating above their world. The first gift, the first light. It was never meant to stay here forever, he said. It was meant to awaken something inside us. That night, as the Vorkin fleets entered the system, the skies above Eden 9 turned crimson. Thousands of dark ships blotted out the stars. Their weapons charged, hungry for the golden glow. The people of Eden 9 watched in fear. They had no great weapons. No armies. Only faith in the man who once shared his bread. Elias walked to the center of the colony and stood beneath the glowing sphere. He placed his hand on his heart and whispered, "Do you remember me?" The golden light pulsed, brighter, stronger. A warm wind rushed through the colony, lifting dust and light together into the air. Then a voice echoed across the sky, the same voice from years ago, gentle but powerful. Elias Ward, the giver of bread. The friend of the lost. The one who asked for nothing. The light expanded, wrapping the entire colony in golden fire. Rhea shielded her eyes, shouting, "Elias, what's happening?" He smiled at her. "The stars remember." The Vorkin fleet opened fire. Thousands of energy blasts shot toward the colony. But as the beams struck the golden barrier, they vanished like pebbles in a river. The light didn't fight back. It simply absorbed. And then something impossible happened. Across the galaxy, every fragment of the light of Elias began to rise, from every world, every colony, every orbit. They all left their planets and flew toward Eden 9, forming a massive ring in the sky. The light joined together, shaping into a single enormous form. A golden figure standing taller than mountains, bright as a sun. The figure spoke, not in words but in emotion. Every human felt it in their hearts. Kindness is power. Compassion is strength. Mercy is forever. The Vorkin ships trembled. Their weapons shut down. Their engines froze. The golden figure reached out its hand, and the dark fleet simply disappeared. No explosion. No sound. Just gone. Silence filled the galaxy. When the light faded, the golden figure was gone. The sky above Eden 9 was clear again. And Elias Ward stood alone, smiling faintly as the sphere dimmed. Rhea ran to him. "Elias, you did it, they're gone." He shook his head softly. "Not me. Us." He pointed to the stars. The light came from everyone who believed. From every small act of kindness, every shared meal, every mercy shown. She looked up, and for the first time the stars seemed closer, warmer, alive. The next morning Elias was gone. Only his coat remained, folded neatly on the bench outside his home. Above it the golden sphere had vanished too. But something new appeared in the sky, a cluster of stars forming a single glowing shape. A man offering bread to 3 strangers. And beneath it, words appeared in faint light across the night sky, visible from every human world. He fed the hungry without asking their names. Now every star knows his story. Centuries later, children in distant colonies still told the tale. Not of kings or warriors, but of a simple man who gave what little he had, and changed the stars forever. Pilgrims built temples under that constellation. Explorers carried the symbol of bread and light on their ships. And when people helped each other they would say softly, "May Elias see your kindness." But in the deep silence between galaxies something stirred. A faint whisper traveled through the void, not from the Vorkin but from something far older. The humans remember. The light grows again. A single golden spark floated into the dark, small but bright. It drifted, waiting, searching for the next heart ready to share its bread. Because legends never end. They begin again, one kind act at a time. White medium star ending hook for the audience. As the screen fades to black, the words appear. In every act of kindness, a star is born. Then a faint voice whispers. Elias Ward was only the first.